Surviving alone in the wilderness would be difficult for the most seasoned outdoorsman, let alone the average person. Although I'm no survivalist, I've spent hours researching items that would not only give me the most use of them, but also the best chance of survival if I were to be stuck alone in Vancouver Island. Each region of the world has its own unique set of obstacles, ranging from geography, wildlife, and climate, just to name a few. To only take 5 items makes for a tough decision, but with the 5 items that I have chosen, I believe it sets me up for the most success. Fishing line with 5 hooks is the first tool for success. An axe to help with cut wood for fire, a tarp to provide shelter from the elements, a large pot to boil water and cook food in, and a furrow rod set to aid in starting a fire in damp conditions. Let's talk about a fishing line and hooks, which are the most resourceful tool for survival. They provide a way to catch and collect food. According to McKay 2016, How to Survive in the Wilderness, you can use the fishing line by tying them to a nearby tree to catch fish. Or an easier way, you can tie the line up to a stick and make it into a rod. There are many additional uses for fishing line, like Gerlach 2014, 5 Survivals for Fishing Line, states one can use fishing line to two supports to hold the tarp up for shelter. Fishing line can be tied properly to trap big game. Also, with predators nearby and food at camp, you can use the line to hold food up in trees and keep out of reach of curious wildlife. Now that we have fishing line, let's start cutting some wood. An axe can help with cutting wood for a fire to stay warm and to cook. Seiler 2015, All Neat Stuff You Can Do with a Hatchet, states an axe can help with chopping wood, which you need in order to easily start a fire. Also, in case of emergency, an axe can be used for a splint for an injury. In the wild, weapons are needed for protection. When predators are around, an axe can be used for self-defense and in catching bigger game. When you catch big game, it is easier to skin the animal with an axe, and it's easier to prepare for consumption. Now that we have wood, let's get a fire started. A fundamental element for survival is a fire. In order to start a fire, the easiest tool to use is a furrow rod set. Padding Bird 2015, Top Reasons to Include a Furrow Rod in Your Survival Kit, states that a furrow rod produces sparks with temperatures up to 5,500 degrees, as well as having thousands of uses in them before they stop working. Having a fire is helpful for many reasons. According to Cox 2017, How to Start a Fire in the Wilderness, with a fire and a stick, you can have a weapon to fight off predators. When in the wilderness, one needs to stay warm. This involves building a fire. Food and water are necessities, and one needs a fire to cook food and boil water. We have a fire started. Now we need something to hold the substances in. You need food and water for survival. With a large pot, it is easier to carry and cook food in. Having a large pot has many advantages. Like Cox 2017, an average person cannot survive without water for 72 hours. Diab 2016, 10 items you need to survive in the wilderness, states that everyone needs water for survival, and a pot helps collect and boil it, getting rid of harmful bacteria. There are also other uses for a pot. Cox 2017 states that if a bear or predator comes to the campsite, you can use a rock to hit on the pot, making noise to attempt to scare off the predator. Or, if water is far away, you can carry water in the pot for easier transportation. Now that we are hydrated, we need to find a place to get some good rest. You need shelter in order to get good rest and have protection. One essential item for protection is a tarp. Laura 2016, 19 off-grid survival uses for a plain old tarp, states that a tarp can protect a person from the rain, sun, wind, or other environmental conditions. Allen 2017 states from 25 uses for a tarp in an emergency that another way to keep protected is to cover your campsite with a tarp and put leaves and sticks over the tarp to help blend in. You can use the tarp for assistance as well. Laura 2016, when it rains, you can tilt the tarp over to collect water in your pot. Allen 2017, when you catch big game or even small fish or collect plants, you can use the tarp as a way to bring the food back to your campsite so you don't have to carry it. I believe that these are the 5 items that are needed in order for the best chance of survival in a scenario like alone. To reiterate, based on my research, these are my top 5 items to bring. Fishing line in order to catch food, an axe to be able to cut wood, a furrow rod set to be able to make a fire, a large pot to boil food and cook food in, and a tarp for shelter. Each item has a distinguished purpose. Many items have multiple uses. When combined together, this makes for surviving in the wilderness alone more of a reality. By using your imagination, you can turn what seems to be these 5 ordinary simple items into life-saving necessities.